Hey everybody, I am so excited to introduce you to a badass woman in business for this episode of the She's Bossed It podcast. I have the lovely Poppy Owen, who is going to sit here for the next however long and talk about her zero F's attitude in life and in business. And she's going to talk actually specifically about how you can just be that really bold person, whether it's in your life, in your business. We're going to get stuck into all things bold AF. Morning, Poppy. How are you, lovey?
Hello, I'm so excited to be here. And obviously, there's nothing untouched on this podcast, I'm assuming. So I'm just gonna let it all out, gonna go all in, give you everything that I've got. So yeah, stay tuned, it'll be awesome.
My favorite interviews, where we literally just tell it how it is.
Yeah, that's the best way.
Yeah,
Like, no fluff. Like, get rid of the fluff. Let's just go straight in.
love that, love that. So before we get stuck into how to be bold and what tools we need in our mindset toolkit to be bold and to go out there and do all the bold moves, let's start with a little intro about you. Who is Poppy Owens?
So I am a global business mentor and strategist, I would say, in business. But I've not always been that. I actually started in the beauty industry. So I was a makeup artist and I've worked my way up and built businesses and now I mentor other business owners. So and I'm currently living in Dubai as well. So I have clients all around the world, which is awesome. But my main focus with clients is essentially helping them go 10x, go all in on their offer and content creation and yeah, like just going bold with things. So I'm
I
super
love it.
excited to
I love
dive
it.
into that.
And we're going to get so stuck into how to be bold AF. But you did just say that you live in Dubai. Now, everyone listening is going to be like, okay, she has a northern accent. That's not the accent of someone who lives in Dubai. So talk to me about how you went from, where are you actually from?
I'm actually from North Wales.
Oh, Wales.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
but
Oh,
it's
it's so
very
weird. You've
close
lost
to,
it a little bit.
yeah, it's very close to Manchester. So I did live in Manchester for 4 years, so I've kind of got that northern
I,
twang.
I, I thought you were from Manchester.
Yeah, a lot of people do think I'm from there or Liverpool for some reason, but very close to one another. I'm like an hour and a half away from Manchester, so
Love
yeah.
it. So obviously you live in Dubai. How did that become a thing? What happened? What was
Oh
that
my God.
story?
So actually, like people say to me, "Oh, has it been on your vision board to move to Dubai?" And I was like, "No, actually, it was never on my vision board. It was never somewhere that I envisioned living." I used to come on holidays here every Christmas to get away from the wet, cold weather, and there's ones. Well, I was 7 months pregnant at the time with my second child, and one of my partner's best friends were moving back out to Dubai. And I just turned around to Ben, my partner, and I said, fuck it, should we just go? Should we just go and see what it's like? 6 months, we've both got online businesses now. Fuck it, should we just go? And he was just like, yeah, because I sold my business. He just sold his gym in-person business. We were both online. There was nothing stopping us. So we were like, yeah, let's just go and figure it out. Let's go and see what happens. And yeah, I've been here 2 years now.
I love that story. Not that different to mine. I used to live in Marbella, not quite as far as Dubai.
Yeah,
Um,
but
and
nice
that,
weather though.
oh, lush weather. And not as hot as your weather. But I had a very similar conversation. We had our house up for sale. It was already on the market with the board outside. And my husband goes out every Friday night. We have this like weird, well, it's not weird, but we have a great, habit, weekly habit where he goes out every Friday night. It's called Man Night. So he's out on a Friday night and he's bumped into someone in a pub who is here in Bournemouth, where I'm based, um, for the weekend to see his kids. But this guy lives in Marbella. So my husband's come home and said, "Oh, I've just bumped into such and such down the pub. He's here for a few days to see his kids, but did you know he lives in Marbella?" And obviously, our house is on the market. We've got interest. It sounds like the latest viewing is going to buy it. We didn't specifically see another house that we weren't in any chain. We weren't like, we didn't have our heart set on another property. So I literally just turned to him. I'm sat on the sofa and I literally just turned to him and said, why don't we move to Marbella when we sell this place?
Like, why not? Like, why would you not?
Yeah. And he just went, okay. And we did that. So we lived there for 3.5 years. In recent times, I won't bore you with the story right now, but in recent times, we sold our property there. We moved back to Bournemouth after COVID, about maybe 6 months, 8 months after COVID. I have multiple companies and I needed to come back and lead from the front and, show my teams that I'm back and all the rest of it. And in recent months, we sold our property there. But going back to your story in Dubai, like with your online business, like this is the beauty of online, isn't it? That,
Oh my God, it's so good. So
yeah,
I think that's what so many people crave, though, is choice, and the ability to make money wherever they are.
yeah,
And I think that was one of the things that really enticed me to move away.
yeah.
Um,
But
but
Dubai
yeah,
as well, of all places, like it's such a distance from
well,
Wales.
I tell you why I chose Dubai was because there was a time where I think I got like there was one January and I got like a 25 grand tax bill and then a VAT bill on top of that. And I was like, nah, I'm not doing this anymore. This is ridiculous. It was just like I was just giving my money away to the government. And I was just like 60% of what I was earning was just going away. And I was like, no, like I'm not here for this. So it was probably that year where I was like, I have to do something about this. We need to like think smarter here. And obviously Dubai, no tax. Um, Quite expensive to live out in Dubai. So the money that I'd probably spend on tax in the UK makes up for it in Dubai with a better life. Even if it's no tax. So yeah, I mean it's 7 hours on a plane, If you're doing 4 hours, you might as well do another three. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I started my love affair, if you like, for Dubai about 20 years ago.
did you?
Before
Yeah.
it was a thing, before
I
we
was
had,
gonna say that was so different then.
yes, before it was a thing, before it was very, everyone was jumping on a plane to Dubai on Instagram, you're seeing nowadays, 20 years ago, way before all of that. But I am half Arabic. So,
Have you?
yeah, I'm half Syrian. So
Wow.
all the foods that you're eating and the language I can speak Arabic, I can cook all the dinners. Yeah.
And do you know what? I actually don't live in the hustle and bustle of Dubai, like in the marina or anything. I live out in the desert.
Oh wow, even that's amazing. I love
Yeah, so
that.
like our like just at the back of our housing estate is like the desert with all the dunes and everything.
Yeah,
So we're like half an hour out of Dubai
yeah,
essentially, but it's the
yeah.
best thing ever here. Like
Oh my God, I bet. And I have a love actually for all the Middle Eastern countries. I recently just got back from Egypt. I love Kuwait. I love Bahrain. I love them all because I'm half Arabic, so I've got a big pull to the Middle East. So anyway, oh my God, we haven't even got started.
we could just like go on.
We could just go on, but we want our listeners to come off this episode and walk out of their front door, salon door, and be like, I'm going to be bold as fuck today. So,
Hmm.
the first question I want to ask you is what does being bold actually mean? What does it mean to you?
I'll probably say this a lot on this podcast, but it's just those fuck it moments. It's like, fuck it, let's just go and do it. Let's just go and do it. Let's go and see what happens. I think it's about doing something that you know is scary and you're going into the unknown, but you're just going to do it anyway because it's a calling, it's a deeper sense of purpose. It's like what you're here to do. Like if you're here to be the change in the world, you've got to go out and do something totally different or that's outside your comfort zone in the steps of like where you want to be. So I think being bold is just doing the things that most people won't do, but that is totally in line with who you want to become as well.
Yeah. So, is there a defining moment, maybe in your career? Was there some time in your life, or a defining moment that you realized that you needed to be bold as F to get where you want to get to next? Like, was there a pivot? I hate that word pivot, but was there a pivoting moment?
Yeah, it was definitely when I moved everything online. So just a bit of backstory. So I started out as a makeup artist, got fully booked with that within like 6 months. But I was in like a corporate job when I first began because I was like, I was in the marketing world, had a marketing job, did makeup on the side, and then I decided, right, I need to go all in on this makeup job. So I've kind of got to strip back my hours in my corporate job to allow more hours for my makeup business to take off. Within 6 months, I became fully booked with makeup, which enabled me then to leave the marketing job full time, and then went into the marketing job. I then set up my own marketing agency. So I went fully self-employed within like 6 months of even like leaving my job. So or like starting on the side. So that in itself was a bit like, oh, okay, we're going all in on this. So that was one of the moments. And then over time, that became more popular, then became a makeup educator, started teaching people to become makeup artists. And then that got so busy, I closed down my marketing agency after running it for 3 years, just because the beauty industry was literally like taking over everything. And like I was getting so busy, so in demand. And then I became a full-time educator just because I was so busy with that. Then I went into building my own academy, so hair and makeup academy. So I had that after being fully booked with the education side. And then whilst I was doing all that, I built up my own makeup product business. So it's at makeup brushes. So I built my own product-based business whilst I had the academy as well. So that was running. And then they got super busy, which was awesome. And then I fell pregnant. Well, I didn't fall pregnant. I mean, it was planned. But yeah, so I became pregnant, and then obviously lockdown hit as well. So I was like pregnant, had all these things going on. So I had like, I was still teaching, doing my training courses. I had my academy, I had my product-based business, all these things. I was like spinning so many plates. I had an events-based business as well, where I'd do award ceremonies and all of this kind of stuff. So I had all these businesses, and then obviously pandemic, we were like, oh, holy shit, we can't do anything like in person, like what we're gonna do. And I was pregnant as well, so I was probably really hormonal, like freaking out, like, oh God, how am I going to make money? Giving birth this year, how am I going to, make money kind of thing. But I was just one of those people where I was like, so when it got announced in the March, I think like it got announced when I was teaching someone on a course at this time, and I was thinking, this is weird, like, no, it's not going to happen or whatever. Obviously, shut down the next day, and I think it took me about a week of being like, oh, I can't just sit around here anymore and just wait for the government to tell us like what's going to happen or like whatever. So I decided to start doing Zoom classes online on like teaching people how to do their own makeup. And that literally took off because I was so bored. I'm not one to sit around and wait for things to happen. I'm the one to make things happen myself. I'll go after what I want. And I think so I do weekly Zoom classes, and on them there'd be like 60 to 100 people at a time. I'd charge them like a tenner, and it was awesome. So I was generating like £600 an hour, which was amazing. And then from then on, I built an online platform where you could learn how to do your own makeup and things like that. And then I paired that up with my makeup brushes, so an offer. So I've got like membership plus the products that I'm using in the tutorials, all of that kind of stuff. I got like 300 plus members on launch in the May, and that was my ticket into the online world. So when I started generating like 5 figures a month just from the online world during lockdown, it was like an insight as to like what was possible. And because I was doing it from home, I was like, oh God, this is like the freedom that everyone's talking about. Like, you don't have to be anywhere physical to make money. You don't have to be in the salon. You don't have to, do one-to-one clients, all of this kind of stuff. And it was just like, this is all from the knowledge that you've built up over the years. And now you can put it into good use. People are, learning new techniques, reinventing things, like feeling good about themselves. Awesome. And then obviously that year was like open and close the doors, like with the academy. You never knew where you're at with the pandemic. And then I gave birth in the October. And I had to go back to work 3 weeks after giving birth because I was so booked up with courses. And it was at that point where I was on the courses, and even there's a bit too much information, but like on the lunch breaks of the course, I was like pumping milk and stuff, and I was just like, "What am I doing? What am I doing here?" Like, I've got a 3 week old little girl at home. I'm pumping during the lunch, like I'm doing what I have to do. It's great, but it's like I've got a taste of the online world now. So it took me about 7 months to make a decision. And this is the bold moment. So I had all these spinning plates, right? I've had all these things going on, but I just made a decision to go fully online. It was like, I am gonna become a mentor. I'm gonna be fully online, and that's that. So what I needed to do from that point was first make the decision, tick. Then I had to commit to it. So what does commitment mean? It means taking action on the things that's going to make it happen, right? So it's things like, okay, so I had to tell people I'm no longer doing courses anymore. I'm gonna sell my product-based business because it was like something that I had to, because I was doing all the packing, I was doing all the things, like it was all me. I had to be somewhere physical to then go and ship them off and all that kind of stuff. So I decided, I was like, oh, okay, don't know what to do about that yet. But we'll leave that hanging. And then all the events-based company, everything shut that down. So it's literally like I made a decision to just go all in on one thing. So that's what happened essentially. I decided to go all in 2021 on moving my business online, and that from that moment, that pivotal moment, it literally changed my life because it was the boldest move I could have ever made. I didn't know what was on the other side of that, but it all worked out in my favor. And the reason why is because success to me is a non-negotiable. And it's like if you have a plan B, that's why you can always fall back on something. So if you get rid of plan B, it's like, right, we're going all in on plan A. It's got to work because I've got no other plans. Like, it's got to work, and you just got to go all in on that. So I ended up selling my product-based business to a TikTok influencer. And then that was that really. It was like I got rid of everything that was I would say tying me down, but it was just things that were stopping me from going all in on my
almost
online
almost a
world.
almost a distraction, I guess. Like how can you
Yeah.
focus, how can you give 100% to this new role and stepping into that space as a leader and a mentor if you've got to nip out and take something to the Royal Mail, post
And
office or
that's
whatnot.
exactly. And I've always been this person that I never really enjoyed like having team members or anything. I was a bit of a control freak in the sense that no, if I only want to do it because I'm the best at doing it and I don't want anyone else doing that. And I just didn't know how to lead a team at that because I was so young. It was like I wanted everything to be in my control. And that's why I thought I can spin all the plates on my own. But the reality of that is, well, if I'm running 5 different businesses at one time, I can only give 20% of my effort in one thing at a time because otherwise it's that another ball drops or whatever. So it's about finding like what you want to go in on to give you 100% of your effort, because I think if you're good at building teams you can delegate. Like I know this now, but it's like you can delegate to people who are better at things than you are in a task that you really hate doing. That's the most sensible way to grow, but I just didn't have that mindset at that time. So it just like it created space for me that I needed to go all in on something. And yeah, it was scary AF, but like it paid off big time. Best
Well,
decision
going
I've made at that time.
well, going back to what you were just saying about team, I think this would be quite beneficial for anyone listening that has a team. And I think we're all, I don't know if it's because we're women and we think that we can do it best. I don't know why, but I think a lot of people will relate, me included in my many earlier years, is that we did feel like because it was our business and because we were the leader, you know, we were the CEO and we were the boss essentially, that we could do things better than the team that we
Yeah.
were bringing into our business. However, I very early learned myself that actually I don't want to be the best. So you said at the beginning of this podcast that you're big into strategy. I love strategy, but I am not my own strategist. I employ a strategist. The same with my marketing manager. She is way better than me. I just want to walk in and say, "What do you want me to do today?" That is
Yeah.
her strength. We can't have all the strengths. Something has got you. Basically, the way I now build my teams, and I've been building teams since I was a teenager. I opened my first business, which was my salon, when I was 19, and I was 4 months in and opened a big salon, then built a big team, then went and opened an academy and built a big team of educators, and then went into product distribution and built a big customer care department, which then needed a marketing team and a pickers and packers department, and then a full-time purchaser and all the things for the way I grew my business. And oh yeah, I would definitely be employing and looking for people that are way better than me. But we don't
Yeah.
get told that at the beginning.
No, no. And I recently I've been studying this book called 10x is better than 2x. Have you heard of it?
No.
So good. It's by Benjamin Hardy, worth a read, listen, whatever you want to do. But so the concept of that is, so with a 2x mindset, the belief is that you have to work more to earn more, you have to do more to get a better return, you have to do everything yourself because you're in control, and then yeah, do it all yourself so you can save money, all of this kind of stuff. And a 2x mindset is only gonna get you so far, but it almost leads to overwhelm, burnout, all of that kind of stuff. Whereas if you adopt a 10x mindset, what tends to happen is if you create a 10x goal, it's almost like an impossible goal. Okay, so it's so far away, it's almost unachievable because you just literally don't know the how, you don't even know like the next step on even how to get closer to that. It's almost like scary, like, oh my God. But if you create a 10x goal, what tends to happen is if you think of if you're in your position, your business was 10 times the size of it is now, if you were generating 10 times the amount of money that you're generating right now, what would your core role be in the business? And what tends to happen is you start thinking about this, your empire is like really big. And what happens if it is 10 times the size of it is now, you cannot physically do everything. It's impossible. So what would you be doing is that you would go all in on what you're really good at. Yeah, because that is going to be the main strength of the business. Now, that's why like people like Ben Francis from Gymshark, he went into the marketing department and he led that because that's what he really liked was the creative side and the designing side. He's not good with finance and all of that kind of stuff. So he actually stepped down from the CEO role into marketing department a few years back because that's what he was really good at. So that's an example of it, right? So it's like focusing in on what are you really good at and just doing that one thing. What do you do with everything else? You hire people who are better at things than you are. So that impossible goal, you've only got one focus to get to that impossible goal, and that's just doing one thing. And then that way you can cut out all the fluff, all the things on your to-do list that don't even move the needle. You can hire people that are better than you at certain things that you hate doing, and then you become a leader in what you're doing and an expert in what you're there to do. And you're going to get there way quicker than you would with a 2x mindset.
Yeah, I
So
love
it's
that.
adopting the 10x mindset with everything you do. It's just envisioning, well, what would I do now if my business was 10 times the size it is now? And then it almost creates a pathway to this 10x. It seems impossible, but it's not because you've only got one thing to focus on. Like
It's
it just makes so
it's
much sense.
smart, and it totally makes sense. We've had giggles in the past with just me and my husband at home talking about one of my businesses, and even with my employees, with my teams. There are three particular departments in my business that I couldn't have run.
Yeah, yeah,
Picking and packing
100%.
in the warehouse, I could not jump on that system and send out an order.
No.
Purchasing, I mean, obviously to start with, you have to know your numbers in any business. That's basic information. But numbers are not my strength. So I brought in a full-time purchaser who would take care of the numbers and the import and the export and making sure that we had stock on the shelves at all times. Then I brought in a full-time graphic designer. I am so not creative. I couldn't sit there and go on InDesign and do all the things. So
Yeah.
I relate to that, and it is so true what you've just said. Anyway,
Yeah.
we digress. So one of my questions here, you've already answered, which was, what is the boldest decision you've ever made and how did it change your life? You've totally just gone into that, which is amazing. So
Yeah.
what I want to kind of go into next is when you told us your backstory with your makeup and your courses and then your product line, that is a very, very common ladder
Mm.
that we see a lot of people do in the beauty industry, but also
Yeah.
it's a lot of people that haven't taken those steps that also
Mm.
want to write and create and sell their first course, whether it's face to face or online. Or there's
Yeah.
so many people over the years that said, Layla, oh my God, I would love to have my own makeup line and my own nail varnish line. And so the thing is, many people fear, and I see this in our own industry, many people fear taking those bold steps because of potential failure.
Mm.
So, how do you personally approach and overcome fear when it shows up? There must have been times you were thinking, holy shit, am I doing the right thing? Should I sell this line? Should I? What did you do to overcome the mind monkeys, essentially?
I love that. There's two things I want to touch upon is the first thing when you said when people naturally go on that ladder of like the thing that's next, and they do that because that's what the industry tells us to do, right? So it's just about like, and on that note, what I would say is just do the next thing that fully aligns with how you want to live your life, because like some like this is what I see happen all the time, and you might see this as well, Lila, is that people get their own salon or academy or product line and they're thinking, holy fuck, I didn't sign up for this. There's so much things here that I wasn't even aware of. Like they want a salon, but they don't want to manage people, right? And it's like they're going in it for the wrong reasons. A lot of people go into things to have their name in lights on the wall, right? So what I would say with that is choose the next step based on it fully aligns with where you want to be, and how much you want it, as well as like what and the reason why you want it. That's really important. Instead of like just going in the next step for what everyone else is doing, because it is a common thing of like, yeah, okay, you get fully booked, then you get your own salon, and then you get your product line. It's like you're just following everyone else, right? But it has to make sense with where you want to be. Because I see a lot of people now like wanting to move online because they're starting a family, or they want to move abroad and things like that. So you got to be in it for the right reasons. In terms of like the fear of failure of like going into the next thing, of like how I combat that is that I've always thought of, if you don't try, how will you ever know? And I know that's quite a common little quote, but it's a case of like, first of all, is no one is you and that is your power, right? So nobody can ever take the next step and do the same things as you, because you are you and that is your power, and you've got to back yourself 100%. It's like, if you do not back yourself, then what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? Because nobody else is going to give you that power that you hold in yourself. Nobody's going to clap harder for you. Like, you've got to be the person to back yourself 1000%. You're the decision maker. Nobody can make decisions for you. So why don't you lead from the front? Like, and if you are someone who wants to have their own course on like educator or something like that, you have to do the things that you say that you're going to do so that you can lead others to do the same. Like people are watching you, they want to be inspired by you, so you've got to lead from the front. So in terms of like handling the fear, is like, do you know what, like life is going to be hard sometimes. There is going to be things that do fail or don't work out. Like the amount of times I've put on an event, a masterclass or whatever, and nobody's bought a ticket, or if I put an offer out there and nobody's bought anything, and it's just like, okay, cool. Do you know what that does? It gives you data, it gives you information that nobody wants that thing. Like nobody wants that thing. And that's okay. And the other way to even look at that is, if you do something and you class it as failure, you can learn so much about that. It might be, yeah, what you have is good, or the next step is a good idea, but you just need to tweak it in a way where it might need to strengthen your messaging, or you might need to show up differently, or like you might just need to give people a bit more information for the logical buyers, like things like that. And it you can learn so much about yourself in those situations if something doesn't work out. And actually, you can never really fail at anything
No.
because if you think about it, what does failure even mean? Like it's just a term that people kind of make up that because if you carry on, you're never going to fail, right?
Yeah. Love
So
that.
it's just like what does failure even mean?
Yeah.
And that's just work within yourself as well. It's that do personal development work on yourself to realize what you're capable of, what is showing up for you when it comes to fear or anything like that, and do the work on it.
I think as well, it comes back to teaching us resilience. I think,
Oh, 100%.
you've used the words failure, and I love how you've really broken that down, that it doesn't truly exist. It's almost like a lie
Yeah.
we tell ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, and I know lots of other people think the same, is that really, for those of us that have gone through failures, like with my inverted commas, fingers in the air
Mm-hmm.
right now,
Mm-hmm.
really they're lessons as to
Yeah.
what to do next time, like you called it, data, collecting evidence. I think back to when I went online for the very first time in 2019. So my very first course was a non-medic course for injectables, and in that very first course, in its first month, I took and generated £40,000. Great. There was me then thinking every other course is going to be 40k upwards. Absolutely not. My next
Yeah.
launch was 20k. My next launch was 10k, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, what's going on here? But I needed to navigate that, to look at, where did my launch go wrong? Was my messaging off? Did I need to revisit something? Did I need to fine tune something? It is all a lesson. I did not look at that as a failure. I would get all my team together. We'd have a
Yeah.
big huddle and be like, right, why did that not perform as good as what we did just 4 months ago?
Yeah.
And I think it's all part of business.
Oh,
It's all part of
100%.
business, you know.
100%. And when you were just talking about resilience there. So this month, Ben, my partner Ben, he's a professional coach. So he's a coach, I'm a mentor, right? So that's how we distinguish. But what we do is like,
You must have some very interesting conversations, by the way. Coach
oh,
to mentor.
so many, like even if he tries to coach me, I'm like, do not try and coach me.
Yeah,
Okay.
love
Like,
it.
but we have some really interesting conversations as well. Like this month, we're doing a challenge called like Go for No. So the concept of this is like get as many no's as possible. Now, this is something that loads of people really fear. They fear people saying no to them because they then make that mean something about themselves. If somebody says no to me, that means I'm not good enough. That means that I'm not enough. I don't hold a lot of value. Like they make it mean about themselves. When actual fact, it's nothing to do with you. It's about their own situation and what they're currently going through, what they need at that time. So we've got this, like we're doing this challenge at the moment, Go for Now, which means go and ask for what you want, right? Very simple concept. And it's like, go for as many no's as possible because if you get a no, it brings you closer to a yes. And it builds up that resilience of people, like, and you're like excited for people to say no because, like, yes, another one, another one.
Yeah.
and,
You know
and
what? I'm going to tell you something now that you're going to be like, no way. Another no,
go
no
on.
way. So we're in 2020. I'm in
Yeah,
a lockdown in Spain, which happened before England. We went
yeah,
into lockdown 1 month before the UK. So I'm in my lounge and I'm in all the Facebook groups. We're all in the same Facebook groups. And this is
yeah,
actually the birth of Beauty Boss, by the way. So I'm in my lounge in my lockdown and I can see everyone is freaking out. And I'm not of that mindset. So I set up from my lounge a pop-up Facebook group and I do a completely free 2 week challenge, which is called Lockdown with Layla. And in the second week of that lockdown, it was called Grow Through the No. So bear with me. The challenge was they had to look at their price list, look at the services that no longer align with them. For me,
yeah,
that'd be nail art. I'd
yeah.
look at nail art and I'd be like,
Oh, I
my
don't
heart
want
would sink. I'm
that.
not good at nail art. I don't know how to charge for nail art. I don't
Yeah,
want to buy more nail art stuff. So
yeah,
one of the things I would ask them to do is look at their price list and basically cut the dead wood. Like anything that doesn't serve you, anything you're not making money on, anything that you don't enjoy doing, why is it on your price list? Just because it's on other people's price list. So
Yeah.
we're going to grow by really going into the area of expertise that we want to be known for. If it's not that, we go for no. We say no. So it meant saying no to clients. Then I had them looking at their clientele base. What clients in your clientele base that you don't actually like? Let's just be honest. I had a salon for 10 years before I went into my training company, which I set up 20 years ago. And I know I would look at my diary, my heart would leap when I saw certain names, my heart would go when I saw certain names, you know?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
again, part of my grow through the no challenge was sack the clients. Like we're going to actually sack clients. Then we
Yeah.
went into sacking staff. Like it went a bit savage. And honestly, even to this day, and I'm sharing this with you because you're doing this now and you're going to love it. Even to this day, I get ladies now DMing me saying, Layla, all I remember is you saying in my head, go for the no, grow through the no, say no, because when you're saying no to others, you're saying yes to you, you're filling your own cup. And that was, like I say, 2020, so 4 years ago, and I'm still getting people going through that mini mindset exercise. So your people are going to grow so much and they're going to love
Mm.
it. They're going to love it. So
Yeah.
I just had to tell you
100%.
that because
I
I'm
love
here
that.
sat here smiling, like going,
Yeah, like go and ask for what you want. And it's like,
yeah,
and that's the thing, like most people don't ask for what they want. They wait for opportunities to land on the lap. And that's just not the way business goes, unfortunately. Like you have to put yourself out there. You have to go and ask the question. Otherwise you won't get what you want. So yeah, it's been really cool. And transformational, and that absolutely builds up your resilience. You just get excited about that once was the fear, you
mm,
know. There's actually this girl on TikTok that I watch called Sophie Jones, her name is, and she does like rejection therapy. So it's like she'll go out in the public and just do something really random or weird, and it's like you're literally holding the phone like, oh my God, I can't believe she's doing that, and it's like, wow, like the confidence that she must have now after doing all these things and knowing you're not gonna die. Like you're not gonna die if this like if people look at you or if people say no to you or if people question you, like nothing bad happens. They just move on with their day. They've forgotten about it within a second and then they move on. And then you've gained all this confidence in the meantime. I think it's amazing. I think it's awesome.
I love what you just said then when you said, and people get on with their day. And I
Yeah,
think this is what people get really stuck in. They think
yeah,
that people are thinking about, I mean, there is some level of judgment out there, and we are going to get into that.
yeah, yeah.
But, people are so consumed with their own lives and getting themselves further, or, what they're having for dinner that night, or, that everyone is so busy in their own life, which is almost like a little mini movie in our
Yeah,
mind, that
yeah.
they don't truly care about what they've just seen us do 10 minutes prior on the internet.
They've probably forgotten.
They've totally forgotten, yeah. But that then stops people stepping into that bold as fuck version of themselves because then they're paralyzed with the thought of, she's going to judge me. What's that salon down the road going to think? What's my ex-boyfriend, new girlfriend going to say when she sat there with her mates watching me do this reel? Or so my next question to you is, how, when faced with criticism or doubts or that fear of judgment, how do you get through the other side of that? How do you deal with let's use the word haters,
Yeah, yeah,
let's go into that, part of
yeah.
this whole not being, fearful of anything. So how do you personally handle that stuff?
I love that. Do you know what? And I've actually had my fair share of that kind of stuff. So I'm probably the perfect person to ask. So first of all, if you have a fear of getting hate online or like putting something out that you're not putting something out there because of the fear of what people may think, honestly, like people don't give a shit about you. Like, sorry to say, they only care about themselves. Okay, they're only in this situation for themselves. They're not in it for you. So you've kind of got to get to the point of like right, nobody cares about me, so I only care about myself. So what would I do if I only cared about myself? And that's the reason, like, that's the whole reason why we're doing this, right? Is we're building a business to help others, impact others, make others feel good, help others transform. But ultimately, like, we build the business, like business owners build the business so that they can do life the way that they want to do life. Otherwise, you would just go and get a job, right? So you've got to ask yourself, who are you doing this for? And if the answer is you and your family or your kids or whatever, then it kind of puts it in a different perspective of like, okay, cool. So like if I know I'm going to put out this piece of content, it's going to change someone's life, someone's going to save it, they're going to implement it, or they're going to get in contact to work with you or whatever, you know, it's going to change someone's, just one person's life. But ultimately, if that content turns into a sale, then that's money coming into your home that you can go and buy your daughter a new dress or whatever. Like, you've got to just shift the perspective of like, people are not obsessed with you. Okay. So you just got to crack on and just do what you want to do. In terms of like the haters side, is that like, if anyone ever tries to tear another person down or put something online or whatever, you've just got to step back and realize this is not about you. If you think of haters, they are probably in a victim mindset. Okay, so they're looking for someone to blame because something's happened that um they are not willing to take responsibility for, or they're just looking to point the finger because it hurts to realize, oh shit, I'm the problem. So it's
Yeah.
like not a lot of people are willing to take responsibility. Now, once you do start doing personal development work, you'll realize that once you take responsibility for things, life gets easier. It,
Mm.
it gets 100% easier and you can move on. Um,
That's
because
so
you can,
powerful. That's so
yeah,
powerful what you've just said.
yeah. And I've had to do a lot of work on this, like, because then when you take responsibility, that means that you're in control of like how you feel. And so I do think like if people put hate online or anything like that, they're probably in a place of like they haven't discovered that yet, you know, and they're probably in a place, a mindset place where they are, you know, they are the victim. Poor me, why is this happening to me? Or why am I triggered? Like I'm triggered about that. I'm triggered. So it's your fault that you've just triggered me. So they're looking to point the finger. Okay. And when they're not willing to take responsibility, they'll blame others. And that's where like trolls and things like that come in, is like they're hurting, right, in some shape or form. So they wanting to hurt other people. But what you can do on a receiver end is just be like, you just send so much love to them. Like, and once you send love to someone, it gets rid of all that, like, oh, it's about me. Oh, like, what am I doing wrong? All of this kind of stuff. And if you just send love and you just think, and come from a place of understanding, like, oh shit, they must be really going through something. I'm just going to send them so much love because that's obviously what they need at this time. And it just takes the factor of like, it's not about you, it's about them. And you've got to let them go through that. We in one of my group programs last year, we there was this girl who came in and she's like, I really want to show up online more, but I'm just so like afraid of getting a hate comment. So what we did was like, okay, let's set a challenge to see how quickly you can get a hate comment. And no word of a lie, the moment she put on a reel, she got a hate comment.
No
Like
way.
it was like the universe just delivered. And she laughed at it. Like she turned it into like, oh my God, the universe works in mysterious ways. This is hilarious. She went from feeling like fearful to empowered and be like, oh my God, like I could literally get whatever I want just from like putting it out there. And like now I don't see that as like I think because I've already had it, right? I'm fearful of having a hater. Now I've got one. Great. What happens now?
Well,
It's like
actually, I call them fans.
love
I
it.
call them
Love it.
fans. When one of my younger brothers he opened a nightclub and went into all the, the music scene. And he sent me a message. It was about 3 years ago. And he said, "Oh, Layla, I've just had my first hater comment or my first troll or something like that." And I just put, "Welcome, brother." Like, I just put welcome. And then just yesterday, Poppy, just yesterday, a lovely, lovely lady in the aesthetics industry, who is part of my world. She's gone onto her stories and she shared and she said, "Look, I would never normally do this. It's never happened to me before. I'm really upset. I've had the most awful trolling and comments come through. And I just don't know how to deal with it." And that's when I hit the reply and I went, "Honey, we call them fans. Like, listen, it means that you're leveling up and it's triggering people. And it is absolutely about what's going on with them and not about you." And I love how you described the whole just give them love. Poppy, I could write a book with the amount of haters I've had. And it's usually every time you hit a new level. And they say that like new level, new devil. And it means two different things. It means new level, new devil is when you are in a place of procrastination or maybe fear before you make the, take the jump and the mind monkeys for you. But it's also the trolls, the haters, the little devils out there. When they see you progressing, it triggers something within them. There was this one particular lady, I won't go into it now, but I did show her a lot of love. And I think she was so I've had it where I've given them love and it's just quashed the whole thing.
Yeah.
But there's also one particular person that I reacted to her situation with love before law.
Yeah.
I won't go any further. I'll save that for a book. But love before.
I get it. Yeah.
And she just didn't know what to do with that love with me because she is so broken.
Yeah.
She was so broken.
There's so much probably like trauma there for them, like that you're probably unaware of, but it's like they're probably going through so much that's bringing up so much that they probably were never given love.
Yeah.
Right.
It was like, that. It was absolutely that.
You could write that. Like you could write those situations, but it's like you can only control what you can control. And like how you show up and how you deal with things. You can never control what anyone else does or says or puts out there to the world. Like you can only control yourself. So it's like, what are you choosing to do in that moment? And it's so powerful. And it's just like when you step into that next level, it's quite a bit of a trigger for some people as well, because they're seeing someone do the things that they want to do, but they're not yet doing. And then they're like, "Oh, okay." And it's sad, but this is the thing, that this is why you have to go bold with your own moves and just be in total control of what you're doing, because like you can't be thinking about other people like that. If you want to change the world, like, you just gotta
I think I triggered someone recently and I didn't mean to.
I
didn't mean to. And so you're about to start seeing in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we're rolling out my new mastermind levels. I've got 3 levels. I'm going into group coaching. I've done group coaching in the past when I had my memberships, but this is high level stuff.
Yeah.
And someone made a passing comment to me who's in the same space. And just said, "Oh, but you've never been in a mastermind yourself, have you?" And I went, "No." And I thought, okay, that's your limitation. That's not my limitation. I don't have to go through someone else's product to then almost copy them. I'm not saying that they're copying, but to regurgitate someone else. I am so true to myself, and I'm very much in your gang of being bold as fuck and all the rest of it. And I'm all about, we've said it a few times in this recording, leading from the front. I know how I can help people in our industry. I know how I can take them to the next level because I've been at that level for some time. And I almost feel like it's a bit of a disservice if I don't go into masterminding. But it definitely triggered someone who is like, "But you haven't been in it yourself." I'm like, and like, I've got so much evidence, I've got so much success behind me and so much credibility that for me, it's really just about the formatting. That's the only area that I believe that I've got to, figure out. And I've pretty much done that now. We start in January. But again, that move that I decided to go into has triggered somebody, and I don't really know why.
I'll tell you why.
Go on.
It's probably because she's wanting to do something, but has not yet done something herself.
Possibly.
And
Yeah.
then she's seeing that you're doing, but the beauty of you creating a mastermind where you haven't been in someone else's mastermind is you can create your own version of a mastermind that not everyone else is doing. Like, a lot of people just copy the formatting and the way things are done in other people's programs.
You
And it's
see it
like, no,
everywhere.
like,
We see it
yeah, it's like,
everywhere.
no, what, like, I am a big believer in doing the opposite to what everyone else is doing. Like, if everyone's doing a group program, I'm going to do this
Yeah.
because I don't want to be the same as everyone else. Like, I don't want to blend in. I don't want to do like you see it in like Dubai retreats. Okay, like this is a big one. You think of Dubai retreats, and we all know you're going to go on a yacht. You all know you're going to do the desert tour thing. You're going to go to fancy restaurants, cool. Like, and you're all going to do hot seat coaching, amazing. Like, everyone fucking does those now. Like, what are you going to do? Like, bring out something so unique that is so different, that truly like aligns with who you are, what you do, what you believe in. Like, you invent something. Like, don't just do the same as everyone else because it works for them. Awesome. But like, what do you believe in, and bring out something that's unique. Like,
I love it.
that's how you're going to get ahead and how you're going to be
Definitely.
remembered.
Definitely. Listen, I just bought a bloody hotel.
Oh my
I've never
God,
owned a hotel before.
amazing.
I've never owned
Yeah,
a
but
hotel before.
but all you need to do for that is like make your first move, and then the next move will come up
Yeah.
for you. So you'll be fine. Like, that's so exciting. That's such like a 10x, like not knowing how it's going to work, but you're going in
Yeah.
anyway, and it's just like
Yeah.
amazing.
And I think as well, educator to educator, and I know a lot of educators will listen to this. When you've got that educator mindset, or you've been doing it for a long time, for me, 20 years, and
Yeah,
it's okay, group, there's so many different models and formats to deliver information to help
yeah,
people rise and take their life and career wherever they want to go. So for me, the mastermind model was just a case of going, okay, it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Well, I've been doing that for years, and I've done that in my mastermind, in my memberships, and I've done that in a way that I didn't even. It's a bit like coaching. So
yeah.
I certified as a coach in March this year,
I did
and
my coaching call last year as well.
did you?
Yeah,
And I never wanted to do it. I only did it because I thought, do you know what? Why not? I'm a mentor.
yeah,
Then there's
yeah,
this blurred line of, is a mentor and a coach the same?
yeah,
Mentor, that conversation is a whole different conversation.
yeah,
Like, well, I am a mentor and I am an educator, but I'm not a coach. Well, what is a coach? Because people are asking me if I will coach them.
yeah,
So I delve into that rabbit hole, and I'm like, I'm going to go into coaching, but I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing for my ladies I'm going to
yeah.
coach. So I take a coaching course, and it turns out I've been coaching all this time.
Uh,
So
yeah.
again, it's about not listening to the opinions or the limitations of others, and deciding what your next bold move is, and just going all in, you know?
Yeah, 100%. It's just
So
like the thing to conclude that is like, who are you living your life for? Because if you're just doing the same thing as everyone else, it's just like, well, what are you doing it for then? To just to blend in? No, like, live your life for you. Just do the things that you want to do in the way that you want to do them. Teach them the way that you want to teach them. Like, just make it all about you and what is
definitely.
most natural for you as well.
I love that. So for the listeners, what
Hmm.
is a practical, let's be real and tangible now, what is a practical, bold move that they could make today? Okay, so in their career, in their personal life, maybe both, what bold move could they make today that's going to set them onto a new path?
Do you know what I think a lot of people just have a hard time doing is just making a decision. Like,
Yeah,
there's so many like ideas floating around, and they're like, oh yeah, that could be good, or yeah, I'm gonna do that next year. And it's like there's no certainty anywhere. So it's like what I would say, so like my challenge to you is make one bold decision today. And when I say that, you might be thinking, oh yeah, I have been playing around with that idea and I have been thinking about that. It's like just decide whether you're going to do it or not. And if you are, when are you going to do it by? Because when you say, oh, yeah, I'm going to do it next year, well, get super specific about the when, because what happens is you start seeing it as a countdown and a timeline of like, right, I need to start taking action now. And you can see like the roadmap essentially. So it's just make a decision on the thing that you've been thinking about for a while, commit and just take the first action. Like, what's the first thing that you need to do to commit to that whole thing? And it might be putting something in your diary, it might be booking a course, it might be putting an offer out there, it might be working with a mentor, like whatever it is, decide and go and take action right now. Like, go and send that email, go and send that message, go and sign up for something. Like, just do something that you've been thinking about for a long time. I promise you, you'll be like, oh, I'm so glad I did that now.
With a face-to-face coaching day that I've just recently held, actually, I go into this strategy session afternoon. I call it Launchpad, and it's basically holding these ladies accountable and
Mm,
then starting to think intentionally, like, okay, I'm here because I've done one of Layla's teacher training courses.
yeah,
I'm coming out the other side of the program. Now what? So
yeah.
one of my slides was me literally, they all started laughing. I'm looking into space and it's a POV and it's like, Layla sat wondering, when are you actually going to have a course online, or when are you actually going to put the date in the diary?
Yeah,
So this accountability session is like, girls, they all get told before what to bring. Get your diaries out. Let's put dates in your diary. Let's block yourself out of your salon. Let's shut down your column on your booking online booking app. Let's
yeah,
get really, really intentional that we are going to hold ourselves accountable, put dates in the diary, and then reverse engineer and work back from that date.
yeah.
And I think that is a missing piece for so many people, to get off the step of what you've just said. Like, oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to 2025. I'm going to be an educator. Oh, in 20, and it's like, okay, when? We have to then go into more deeper layers with that whole thing.
Yeah,
Um,
because they give people give themselves time, and what happens in that time is they back out. Life
yeah,
gets in the way, something else pops up. But if you do it in that very moment, it's gonna happen.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
big moves.
Imposter syndrome. I know we've
Yeah.
kind of talked on like the fear of
Yeah.
stepping into that bold version of themselves. So we hear a lot about imposter syndrome, especially amongst high achievers, which I
Mhm.
think throws people, that when they go, oh my God, that massive influencer or that massive whatever guru or whatever word you want to use, they've just said how they've just had major imposter syndrome last weekend, or just before they've gone on stage, or just before they hit the button when they published their first book or whatever. So when it comes to imposter syndrome, firstly, I want to know, have you faced it? And if you have, how did you then navigate that to stay true, to stay on the bold train, basically?
I'm gonna be so honest, right? I am living as an imposter every single day. And the reason why I say that is because when you step into your 10x version of yourself, you're an imposter because you're not at that 10x yet, but you're becoming that person, right? So it's like you're almost like an imposter. So, and the reason why you step into that imposter every single day is because, yeah, you're not where you want to get to, but you're living as the person as what they would be living as every single day. And to get through that, you just take bold action to align with who that person is. So it's like if you're a worldwide speaker and you stand on stages in every single countries, but you haven't yet done that, it's like, I'm going to be that person. That's a 10x version of myself. What can you do today that will make that statement true? It's about taking bold action, making a decision, being like, right, I'm going to message X, Y, and Z, see if they get my speaking slots available. And then you're stepping into the person that you feel like you're an imposter of anyway. So it's like, make it make sense, right? And it's just like live your imposter life. Like that's what everyone does. I was talking about this on a piece of content the other day, is that um if you're like showing up online different to how you are in real life, you're living as an imposter. And I mean that on the opposite way. Now, in person, someone could be so energetic and like like personality flies around and they're so bubbly and happy, and you don't see any of that online. Where the hell is that?
Yeah.
And it's like they're almost like an imposter, but the reversed imposter. They're like, oh, you're not the person that you are in online. Um, so it's just like take action with who you really want to become. And then you're living an
Yeah.
imposter life all the time.
Love it, love it, love it. So you're obviously living it up in Dubai, and you must have these amazing daily habits and
Mm.
practices that keep you in that mindset of being bold and fearless and resilient. So, what habit comes to mind now when you think, well, I need to do that on the daily or the weekly to keep me in that mindset?
I'm quite boring really. Like I literally do the same things every single day. But like as soon as I wake up, I'll get the kids ready and all of that jazz. And then I like 7:30, I'll walk to the gym, which is 20 minutes. In that 20 minutes, I get sunlight on my face. I'll listen to a podcast, or I won't actually have any headphones on because thoughts come in. And then you're like, okay, you can actually think clearly about what you want to do with the day. So like this morning, I didn't put my headphones on, but I created a strategy, like an email sequence. So it was like, right, that's what I'm going to go and implement. As soon as I get to the gym, I'll go and work out, things like that. And then I'll sit down with my laptop and I actually do something that scares me every day. So it might just be like reaching out to someone, go and sign up for something, like do something that scares you and into the unknown every single day. Just do something bold out of your comfort zone, because it's that go for no, right? It's just like go for the things that scare you, wait for the no, and then just move on. So do something that scares me every single day. And I always post content every single day. I feel like I have to show up all the time, get visible, and yeah, just serve my clients. And like even when I serve clients on calls and stuff, I like release energy. Like I'll like move my body, or like I'll get into the right mindset to serve a client, because if you bring anything that's going on to a call and it's like visible and how you present yourself and things like that, that's not great client experience. So I always make sure I'm fully like equipped and in the right energy to serve clients, just so that the best
Yeah,
experience essentially.
I love
Yeah,
that.
that's kind of it really.
I love it. I love it. So you must have some people that you follow. I know you've mentioned a couple of books and a couple of names, but are there any particular mentors or role models in your life that have shown boldness? Not necessarily in your life. You don't necessarily have to know them. It could just be someone that you follow and you absolutely admire them for that. Their killer boldness moves. Is there anyone,
Um,
any mentor, or even if it's a celebrity or not, the girl that used to live in Wales, that you're seeing her go and doing moves, and you're like,
yeah,
hey now, like,
honestly, I think do you know what I'm just really loving is watching that Sophie Jones on TikTok. I think she's awesome. Like doing stuff that's crazy and like that's so outside of comfort zone and stuff like that. I am in so much admiration for what she's doing. I think it's
give her
awesome.
a
I
little
think
follow. What's her name?
yeah, Sophie Jones. I think it's
Yeah.
Sophie Jones on Instagram, but she's big on TikTok. You'll find her no problem. I think she's awesome. And I think one of her most popular videos was when she got on a plane and she went with a phone like this and be like, "Have a good flight, everyone!" And everyone just sat there like that. And she was
Wow.
like giggling away. But it's like you watch it and you're cringing and you're like, oh my God, like what's the reaction going to be? And I just think it's so amazing what she's doing. I think like she's making bold moves every single day and she's filming herself doing it. And I think like more people need to do that. I need to do more of that, like stuff that makes people cringe or whatever. Um, because then it's like, what are you then afraid of? Like nothing, because you're doing everything that like you're in fear of anyway. So
Love, absolutely love that. So finally, what I
yeah.
know that we've talked about this throughout the whole conversation, which I have absolutely loved, by the way. I think our listeners are gonna love this conversation because everybody wants to be bold. Everyone
Yeah.
wants to have zero F's given. Everyone
Yeah.
wants to step into a version of them where they really genuinely don't care what others think. So I
Yeah.
think it's been such a great conversation. But what advice would you give to someone who wants to live with more boldness but feels held back? Like, what's that last piece of, your final gift of this episode before we bring it to a close? What advice would you give to someone who wants to live with more boldness but something is holding them back?
What advice would I give? I would just say you deserve to do things for you. Like
Love that.
you need to go for what you want because you deserve it at the end of the day. Like nobody else is going
Full
to give it
stop.
you.
Love it. Love
100%.
Well, thank you so much, Poppy. I just think the ladies that are, the in between. I did a post about this just 2 days ago. That in between levels, and we don't talk about the in between bit. And there's going to be people listening that want to jump, that want to leap to that next version, but they need to pull out the boldness. They need to, put their big girls' pants on and just leap and just make it happen. So thank
Yeah,
you so,
100%.
so much.
You're more than welcome. I've loved it. Thank you.
Thanks for listening, everybody.